Welcome everyone to this tutorial for compressing a video inside FlutterFlow. Now, I will provide you with a single action in order to compress videos from directly inside FlutterFlow, but during this tutorial I'm also going to build out my video compression and then my upload to my preferred storage, which will be BunnyCDN. So in the description below you'll find a unique link that you can click on. With that you will get a 14-day free trial with Bunny, and you can check it out. So Bunny is amazing, really is. Note that I'm not being sponsored by Bunny or anything, it's just I do like Bunny. They're cheap, it's affordable, and it's a lot better than Firebase, as well as you get the added feature of delivering your content similar to what you would with CloudFront, right? So you have multitude of different storage spaces. So for example, let's just open up here. If we have a look at I just want to go to, give me a quick second. So if I go in and I have a look at the pricing and routing, I can see that I already, like for something like my website, I am delivering content using BunnyCDN. So everything from my video background to the images that's displayed on my website, everything I deliver using BunnyCDN. So I have Europe, North America, South America, Asia, and Middle East, right, and Africa. And for all of it, I pay $0.06 per gigabyte of storage. Now, what's nice is, imagine if you think about a TikTok style application, no matter where you are in the world, your video content is delivered at a very fast pace towards you, right? So you receive the content fast, and it also caches that content so that in the future, if somebody else also queries that same data, then it's already stored on that server. So the response times with your video content is a lot faster. That means less loading, less buffering, and a less bad experience for your users, right? So with that being said, what we are going to be making use of is to create a video library itself. And this library is mostly used for things such as a TikTok application or Instagram or X or whatever it is, whatever social platform you can think of, including YouTube, right? So I'm going to be making use of Bunny, and I'm also going to incorporate the CDN. So I'm going to upload my video content after it's compressed. I'm going to upload my video file to Bunny inside of a specific collection for each user. Now, this can be different for your use case. Imagine having a YouTube type application. So each user might have their own library, and then inside each library, they will have collections. Imagine collections then being playlists, and then inside each playlist, there will be videos, right? So you can imagine a setup like that. Otherwise, imagine just having a user and they have an Instagram and they have posts, right? So they have a collection for themselves and all their posts go in there, or they perhaps have a chat, so the chat also gets a collection and all the video uploads then goes in for that specific chat. Now, we will be going through this. Bunny offers some amazing things, such as already generating a thumbnail for your video upload. You can also specify when or where in the video it needs to generate that thumbnail, as well as you can add a watermark to your video content. So imagine YouTube or even TikTok, you have the option of adding a watermark. Like it can be your logo or an icon. So we're gonna go through this, but let's get hopping into this. I've already somewhat set up an app in order to speed up this video. So I basically just have a homepage screen in which I have a stack, a page view in which I have my own little video player here, and the video type for this one is going to be network. So let me just pass in there, it's a network and not a local path. And we will then be querying our videos document. So let's start by setting up our backend first before we work on our video compression. For me, I am going to create a new collection here, and it's going to be videos. It can be anything really, so I can literally just say let's delete this collection and let's say video uploads, right? There we go. And then let's start building out our backend. So the first thing that we're going to require for our video uploads is a video path, right? So video URL, and it's going to be a type video path, right? We can select it like that. right? We can also just go ahead and say, instead of video URL, which is a video path, we can just go straight forward to being a string or whatever the case might be. For me, video path is fine. You can just make it a string. It depends. You might just need to use, if you're using the FlutterFlow default video player for displaying this network URL, then you're probably going to need to have this data type as a video path. Otherwise, you're going to have to write a custom function just so that FlutterFlow can pick up that it's still, a string. All right, so from there, I also want to have a field which is created by, which is document reference, and it's going to be users such, and then I want to get a thumbnail. So this thumbnail is going to be of type image path. Then I'm just going to make sure that I always store this document's UID. It just makes it easier to access this way, or query a specific document by passing in a specific reference, in this case filtering for this UID. And then also I want to have a video upload. It's actually no need for this. Let's just keep it as a video. Well, we're going to have to look for the video GUID. So that's going to be of type string. So if you want to know what this video GUID is, this will come from Bunny. Right, so your video will have a specific video ID. And in order for us to trigger a webhook, when Bunny is done processing the video on their side, we need to know or update this document. So I'm just going to say draft is Boolean. And then we also want to say upload failed. Like that. Let's just make that, since it's 2 words, just like that. And we can also make this a Boolean value. Now, in my users, right, we said that we're going to create a collection for each user. So I need to have a collection D, and it's going to be of type string. Now, guys, for those of you who are interested, let me take you through this. There are 2 different ways for you to generate these things with Bunny. You can either generate it directly from within FlutterFlow by making an API call directly to Bunny, but this way your API key can be exposed unless you make use of an encryption method in order to get that API key from your Firebase or wherever, so that everything will remain secure and your backend doesn't become exposed, right? Now, yes, that's 100% fair. You can do that. I will attach a link in the description below. You can have a look at it. It's a video that was done with by Technesis when it comes to the Bunny uploads, and he handles creating these things using encryption, right? Although he doesn't push the videos specifically into a specific collection, but it does handle getting those keys, creating a unique encryption key for each user, and then encrypting those API keys in order to keep the backend secure. Now, you can make use of the first method that I will show, which will just be storing your API keys in the library ID in a secured persisted field. So if you don't know what this does, it is the encrypted persisted fields uses the device's encrypted storage option, right? Although I'm not too happy with this because it can still be exposed, and your app will then, once you make the request, it will send that API key, exposing the API key at the end of the day. Even though you might go and you say, make my API calls private, it will then store it in Firebase Cloud to keep that private. I'm not one to suggest that. Instead, I'm going to show you how to create your own API calls outside of Google and outside of FlutterFlow, and make API calls to that server that will then generate the collection ID, the video ID, as well as manage the webhook. This way, all of your API keys will remain safe and secure and will not be exposed at any point in time. Right, so now that we have that done, let's head to creating our app states and our API calls. Now, feel free, you will see that there are chapters to this video. You can skip down to the end of the video and you would find the section of managing and creating the API calls outside of FlutterFlow, right? But for now, let's start off with just making calls inside of FlutterFlow. And to do that, we first need to jump into Bunny. So click on that link in the description below. It will take you to Bunny and you can sign up. Right, it will be 14 days free trial and no credit card required in order for you to make use. It is pay as you go. And a nice thing about Bunny is you can also load your Bunny account using crypto. So if you're a big Bitcoin fan or anything like that, they offer actually quite a variety of options. Then you can load your account with that. And like I said, Bunny is very affordable, and it's a lot better to use than Firebase storage, since Firebase storage can really start costing you a lot. Right. So in my Bunny, you will see that there's a few options. Right. There's CDN, storage, stream, DNS, and purge. We are going to go to stream because we want to create a video library. So I'm going to call this video upload server. That's fine. And then I can select a few different regions to where I want to host my thing. Now I'm not going to do Los Angeles, also not there. I will do Africa, Johannesburg. And by default, it would be Europe. Note that if you've selected these, you cannot remove them later. You can add to that, but you cannot remove from it, right? So there we go. This is good. I can add the video library, and then we're going to go through some setup. Now, you will see that here you have manage library. This is the library overview, and you have collections, and then you have videos. Now, we will be doing this by making use of the Bunny API documentation. So the first thing that we can have a look at is collection, right? So you can just type in search collection and click on create collection. We can then see that it's going to be a post request, right? And then we have some valuable information here, such as the link that we need to use in order to make this request, and then also additional headers that we need to pass in, right? Don't forget, we'll also need to pass in the access key in order for us to validate that we are making a valid call to Bunny. So let's start off with that. If we go into our video library, we can set up a few different things. This player is not for FlutterFlow. This player would be something that you build using or JavaScript, React, I believe Python will probably be able to do that too. And it's a nice video player for outside, right, of FlutterFlow. Then advertising, if you have any advanced tags, but this will normally happen if you are making queries directly to BunnyCDN. I'll probably do an enhanced tutorial in the future by building out, let's say, an Instagram or TikTok clone by making use just of Bunny, right? So then we'll add advertising, so where we can get our ads from, that will then be played in our videos. You also have encoding. From here, I am definitely going to turn on early play. You can keep original files. There's multi-audio track support, MP4 fallback, and content tagging. This content tagging uses machine learning, right, to auto-categorize your uploads, and this way it will actually help if you want to deliver specific content to users based off of their activity. Then you have resolutions. Now, normally this is if you think about Netflix, if somebody is on a poor internet connection, then it might start delivering a 480p instead of a 720p or 1080p, right? I'm just going to disable that. I don't care about that. I want a proper resolution. And now we can upload a watermark. In my case, I am going to upload my logo as the watermark. And then we can put our placement. Where do we want it? I'm going to say that I want it roughly there. Perfect. All right. And there we go. It's saved. Let's just make sure that's saved. And now we can go to the next. Now again, there's also these will be types of things if you make your queries directly to Bunny instead of Firebase. In my case, I'm going to send the video to Bunny to store it, but I'm not going to query directly from Bunny. I'm going to use a Webhook to just update my Firebase and stipulate that that query is valid, and then just generate everything in there. That's because I just want to keep this tutorial as short as possible. So you can enable transcribing, you can do smart titles, smart description, and also then select languages in which these subtitles need to be, right? I'm not going to turn that on because it's no need. Then general, you can add your own domain. You can block specific domains or allow specific domains to access. You can also block direct URL file access, and so this will, if enable direct access to your files without a referrer header, will be blocked, right? You can turn this on and you can also turn it off. But yes, you'll definitely need to have this header if you want to keep things secure. So we will be handling that. I will show you to do that. And then you have a few additional things. So this is token authentication for embedded view, then CDN token authentication. This is more just for keeping everything secure if you're also querying directly from Bunny. Right, a few other things. DRM, I'm not even going to jump into that. It's just media caching, so you can turn it on, it's fine, but I'm just going to turn that off. Then you have delivery. I'm definitely going to have that on high volume tier. I'm not going to do it for small files. It's going to be high volume tier. And then storage. Yes, close it, that's fine. Again, here I only selected that. I can now go and still select more. I'm not. And then statistics. This you can just have a look or an overview of how many people are actually viewing it, how many queries are you getting, stuff like that. And then finally, what we need is our API keys. We're going to need our library ID, we're going to need our CDN hostname, and we're going to need our API key. And we eventually, once we're ready, we're going to come and add our webhook URL so that we can trigger our webhook to update our Firebase documentation. So now that that's done, let's get into doing this. So I am going to create API calls, right? And the first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a post request, which is going to be create collection. For some reason that's typing, so create collection. And then we can go to our create collection documentation here, and we can grab this URL like this. Let's copy it, let's go back to FlutterFlow, and let's paste it. Now, there's a few additional things that we need to add here, and that's that we're going to have to be passing in a library ID. So let's add it like that, and then we can go ahead and create a variable call. So say library ID, and it's of type string. And we can already go and say add call, just so we make sure that it saves. If we go back to our documentation, we can see that we're also going to have to pass in an access key. So let's add our first header, which is going to be access key. Such, let's just double check if it's a capital K. Yes, it's a capital K. So let's edit this. So access key. And then we can go to our bunny and grab our API key here. Now I am going to pass this in dynamically, so I'm going to add it as a variable. So for that reason, I'm just going to say API key as such. Go to variables and say API key, and it's of type string, and I can say. All right, so for me, I'm now just for this part, I will handle or show you how to handle this outside of FlutterFlow. Please find the chapter in the description below, and you can head towards it. Right. So from here, I'm going to say API key. It's type string. It's persisted, and I can create it. And gonna paste my API key in there. Now the next thing is I can also add here library ID. As such, it's string and it's persisted. And come to my managed library and copy out that library ID. Let's paste it in. Perfect. So we've now set up those two, right? We also need to come back and have a look here. We also need to add content type application JSON, right? So let's come back to FlutterFlow, add it in here, say application JSON. Just make sure that this is capital T and capital C. And then I just want to add here an asterisk and a plus, right? Just like that. Perfect. And save. So now that we have that, we also need to say something else. If we come back to our documentation, we say update collection model, we can see that we need to provide a name string. So let's go back to our FlutterFlow, add a variable, which is name, it's of type string. Let's go to body and say JSON, right? Because we need to sync this as a JSON. And I'm then going to say name, and this is going to be the name. Just like that, and save. So now if we go to our responses and text, we can say test, let's just say test name. Let's create a test collection. Just quickly grab this out, API key and library ID, such, and we can say test API call. And there we go, we've gotten a successful request. So we can scroll down and we can add this JSON path and we can say collection ID, right? And we can say, perfect. So now we've added our JSON path, which is predetermined, and we've given a name of collection ID because we need to update our users document with that collection ID. So we're going to do that as part of the registration process. So if I go to my auth page, I have my create account, get started, If I open up, I can then go ahead and say add an action. It's going to be API call like this. It's going to be create collection, and we need to set our variables. So the first one is the library ID. I'm going to get that from our app state, library ID. API key, we're going to get from app state, and it's going to be API key. And then finally, name, I'm going to set that to be the user's user ID. Now, if it's successful, then we also want to update our authenticated user document. So we can go authenticated user record reference. We can add a field, go down to collection ID from variable, and let's grab our action output and this API result, the JSON body, redefine path, and then grab that collection ID. Perfect. Now after that, we also just then need to navigate to our home page. We won't allow back navigation, and that's fine. Right. So now we've successfully created our collection. So what do we now do for when we want to upload our video? In my case, I have a custom action, right, which is already written, which is upload image or use image picker to get video file path. I'm just going to rename this, and I'm going to call this select video. Now you can really do anything. I might just also use let's say a custom gallery. It's something that I've been working on, and let's just copy that out here and select video. There we go. And so, right, that looks better. Not such a long name. Right. Then I will provide you with a compressed video action, which is literally just for video compression, and it will return a compressed video path. You can then also say delete origin to true if you want to delete the original file and replace it with a compressed video file, right? I've also added a few things here, such as app states to track the actual compression state, as well as the upload progress. And so yeah, let's do that quick. Let's create our app states here. So we're going to create an app state, which is called status text, is of type string, and no need to be persistent. The next thing that we want to add is upload progress. Go to our app states, add an app state variable, but this time it's going to be of type double. Right, so let's go ahead and just create our upload button quick. Now for our upload button, it's really going to be a simple collection really. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to upload our image. We can probably already create our video collection ID. It will just, create a less of a slower action when you start uploading, things like that. So we can go up here, add an action, and the first thing that I want to do is I want to use my custom action to select a video file, right? So that's all, and it's going to return, I can say selected video file like that, and then we can add an action. So I don't really need to, not really, I can more just do a condition. So let's delete action and let's say add conditional. So our condition is going to be whether our action output, whether we've selected a file or not. So we can say select a file. It's going to need to be a single condition, sorry, my bad. So single condition, then it needs to be action output, selected video, is set and not empty. If that is true, then we just want to add an action and navigate to our video preview page. And then we can pass in the video path. So I'll show you now, I added a parameter for it. So let's just go to action output, add that selected video file. And if we go out, we go to our video preview page, you will see that I have a parameter here at the top of the page for video path, type string, and it is required. Perfect. So now, once we've done that, we also need to create a video library, right? So let's say a video, and we can say create video, which is going to be a post request, and it's again just passing in almost the same URL, except for it doesn't add collection here at the back. It adds videos. So we can go to our API calls, add a collection, create an API call. It's going to be a post request, and we can paste it in. Again, let's do this. Add that library ID because we need to pass it in as a variable. So let's go ahead and already add this variable, and we can add call. Let's say create video. Like that. So create video, add call, and then you will see we also need to pass in. So I'm just going to grab this, copy, come to my video, add my first header, add the second header, which is a 6 key, and it's going to take in an API key that we're going to pass in as a variable. So let's go ahead, copy this API key, go to variables, add a variable API key, and it's going to be string. Right. But we can also add a few more things here. So if we go to our create video and we click on body params, we can see that we need to give a title to the video. We can then associate this video with a specific collection. So we're going to give our collection ID, and then we can give a thumbnail type. So at one point in the video, should it essentially imagine being a screenshot. So it's going to screenshot the video to create an image for it, right? So at what second? So let's go ahead, let's add these. The first one would be title. So let's copy that, come back, add a variable title, string, add another variable. This time we're going to do the collection ID, right? It's going to be type string, and another last variable of thumbnail type. Now, these are optional. You don't need to do this, but the title will be required. Right. So there we go. Thumbnail type. And let's do integer. And let's go to our body. Our body is going to be JSON. And now we can pass this in. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to specify a title for the video. This title is going to be this title here. Right. That variable. Then the next one is going to be collection ID, and it's this collection ID. Remember to add your commas, and then the final one will be the thumbnail type. So let's add thumbnail, fine, like that, and then add the thumbnail, just like that. Perfect. Now, remember that if you add a final one in JSON, you don't add a comma at the last part, and that should work. So now if you format, everything will format correctly, and you can save. So if we go to our variables, to our responses and text, we can do a quick test. Let's just go ahead. Let's grab this last response that we got here. Or let's just go to Bunny, because now in managed library, we should have a collection that we created here, this test collection. So let's go ahead and say copy collection ID. Go to FlutterFlow, and then we can quickly test this, right? So go to create video, responses and test collection ID. Let's paste that in. Go back here, go to APIs. Let's grab our library ID real quick. So there, library ID. And then finally, we also want to grab our API key, right? Let's go ahead. Let's say API key, and then we can do a test. So let's say test video, and the thumbnail would be a second in. And let's test the API call. There we go. It was successful, and we got a bunch of information. Now, the important things that we need is we need this GUID. We don't require the title. What we do need is, I want this thumbnail file name, just like that. And then I can say video GUID, and we can say thumbnail name, just like that. And we can save. So now we have our predefined paths here. Everything worked nicely, and we can continue on. All right, so let's go back to our action flow here. And we now need to create our action flow for what happens after we've now selected a video. So on our video preview page, you will see that I have a stack. This stack is going to be set only visible if the video URL or the video path is valid, and then from there we'll do a few additional things. But yeah, I just have the video URL. Again, I have my ghost coding player in here that can play both. Well, it can play a few different options. I can play from a local path, a network, or asset path. So I've selected local path because I don't want to wait for the video to upload to Bunny before it starts playing. I want it to play immediately as I open the page, so it needs to play from my local path, so from my device. All right. Then I have a row. This row will show progress for the upload, so it's just a typical progress bar from FlutterFlow, and I'm going to pass in an app state for progress. So if I go to my app states now, we can see upload progress. I can select that and it will play. Now this upload progress is essentially going to play between 0 and 1. So 0 being 0% and 1 being 100%. Then the text itself is going to be my app state, and it's going to be the status text. So I'm going to take you through what is going to happen now with action. But before we do that, let's just set up our action flow for on page load, because you essentially want to start doing all of this when this page loads. So the first thing that we want to do is I want to update app state, because I want to notify the user, like, listen, we're going to start now with our upload. So we can do upload progress and set value. In this case, it's going to be 0. And the status text can be creating video library, like that, right? So we're going to create the video library. Oh wait, technically we're creating the video document first, right? So I'm then going to add an action. It's going to be create document, and we're going to create a video uploads document. We're going to add a field. We can add actually a bunch of fields here, right? The first one is the video URL. We're not going to use that now, so we can remove that. But the created person is our authenticated user reference. For the thumbnail URL, we'll come and specify this afterwards. The UID will specify afterwards. Video GUID, we will get that soon. And then draft, we can set to true, because at now it's currently still a draft. So it shouldn't be displayed to the users not until our video upload is done. And upload failed is false. And then we can say video document. Like that. Perfect. So now after that, I want to update a new app state. So I'm going to copy this action. I'm going to paste the action, but this time it's going to say creating video library. Right, and we can maybe say that this is 25% in, whatever the case might be. And then we're going to create a new API call. So add an action. We want to do API call, like that. And we want to grab our create video. And now we need to set some variables here, right? Here we go. First one is the library ID, which we're going to get from app state, library ID. The next one is API key. We're going to set that to be app state, API key, then title, which is going to be, we can set this to be our action output, and then our video document ID. So reference, document ID, and transfer. Collection ID, we can now grab that from our authenticated user under the field collection ID, and then also thumbnail time. And for this, we can just say 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds. It depends. You can even make this dynamic, so the user can, prior to this, select which period in the video do they want to have the thumbnail to show, things such as that. But for now, this is fine. I'm then going to say video library ID, and we can then check it here. So video library ID succeeded. If it fails, then we just probably want to give an informational dialog to say error, video library creation failed. We can then maybe put the app state here, copy action, paste actions, let's put it to the top, and it would say failed update, right? And we can put this back to 0. Now, if it succeeds, then we want to add an action, which is update document. We want to update our videos document, so we can go to action output. It's going to be videos document and reference, right? And then we can go ahead, let's grab all our fields here. We will remove what we're not going to update now. So there we go. We can go to video URL. Well, technically we can already pass that in, seeing as our video URL is just a text combination. So I'm going to do that. It's going to be from variable, right? So you're going to see it's a weird thing. So we can go to combine text, right? And then we can now go and have a look at what these videos will look like. So let's go to our bunny. If we look here, you can see that you have this URL here, right? In my case, it's BZ23 whatever. Note that I'm going to delete this when the time comes. So yeah, but let's go in here, and don't forget that this is a URL, so it always needs to start with the HTTPS, and there we go. Then you can paste that in, which is that BZ23 whatever. Reminder that you can change this, you can add your own domain for this, but in my case this will suffice, right? So I'm going to show you now how I know that this is what the URL should look like, or how we need to create it. But then also we want to then pass in text2 is our action outputs, our video library ID. So we want to grab JSON body. It's going to be a predefined path, and it's that video GUID, right? And then finally we also need to add the following. So it's playlist, well, /playlist.m3u8, and we can confirm. Now, if you want to know where I got that, if we come back to our managed library, let's just let that load. We will see that we have our test video here that's currently still saying uploading because it hasn't actually received the file yet. However, there you can see you have your video ID, which is that video GUID that was responded to, and then you have this playlist URL. So if we copy this, right, and let's say we open a text document. Let's open it. Oh, sorry, that was, I don't know what I did there. Let's open note. So there we go. All right, so there we go. And we can now see that we have this value here. So M3U8. Right, so now all of this is then correct when it comes to it, but we also have a thumbnail URL. Now it's going to have a similar thing. So if we copy this out and we paste this here, then we can see that we have our URL here. We then have our video library ID, and then we have the thumbnail JPEG, right? So let's go ahead back to FlutterFlow and let's remove the created by. We don't need that. What we are going to do is I'm going to copy this text combination just like that. I'm going to say from variable and going to paste it, but instead of video it's going to be video GUID, but then here it's going to be a space. So let's look at our text. It's our URL, right? Then it's our video library ID. Oh, not our video library ID, our actual video GUID. And then the thumbnail JPEG after a /. So let's add another text here, and then we can go ahead just in case they ever change it. So if you want to get this from the actual video library ID, so we can grab JSON body, we can grab predefined path, and then grab that thumbnail name. I'm going to confirm. Right, and like I said, I also want to grab a UID for this actual document. So I'm just going to go action outputs, video document, and then pass this reference in as a document ID. Right, then now for the video GUID, that can come from variable, and we're going to grab action outputs, video library ID, we can grab JSON body, predefined path, and video GUID confirm. Draft again, that's still going to be true, and upload failed is going to be false. Right, now we also then need to update an app state, right? Or at least give an app state to say, listen, our things have been created, we are continuing on. So let's go ahead, let's grab this app state here, copy action, paste actions, let's go up, and we can say set value CDN created or video library created. I just moved my library created, or just video ID, so video created, whatever the case might be. And then we can change this to maybe be 0.5, right? Let's copy this out, and then we can say preparing upload, and we can say 0.75. And now comes the fun part. So now we need to start the compression, right? So I'm going to add an action here. And now for me, you would probably use this compress video action. For me, I'm going to do the compress and upload video because I have a combined action. So let's go there real quick. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go to my action flow here, and let's go through our compress and upload video. So for me, I am using the video compress package. So we can come down here, we can check the video compress package, and we can also already open up our API reference documentation for the package. So I'm creating an action, which is compress and upload video. I'm passing in certain arguments for this action, which is video path, which is my local path from my device. I'm going to give my API key. I'm going to give my library ID. And then finally, I'm going to give a video ID. Okay. So now I can start compressing my video. So the first thing then, what I need to do is update an app state. So again, we're updating these app states that we created, which is status text and upload progress. And I'm going to first set that upload progress to be back to 0, right? Because we're now finally starting the video compression. So I'm going to start compressing the video. And in order for me to track the video compression, I'm subscribing to the video compress. So if we look at our documentation and we go down, you can see that you can get a few things. You can even get thumbnail from the video path, things such as that, or compress state. So this will be video quality. I'm going to show you now how to specify the quality. You can have default quality, video quality, low quality, high quality, medium quality, that type of thing. Other than that, if you then want to listen for the compression progress, then you need to subscribe for it. So that is what we are doing here. We are subscribing to the video upload progress, and then I'm updating my app state, the upload progress value, so the progress, and I'm dividing that by 100% so that I can normalize it from 0.0 to 1.0, right? Then finally, I'm going to compress the video. So now I'm starting the actual video compression. So I'm passing in my video path here. I'm specifying the quality, which it needs to be highest quality. So if we look at our documentation here, you can see that you can see, let's find it here, video compression. We can actually just search the documentation. So this is something that I like to do. I just search for it, and that would be quality. And then you can see you have video quality enum over there, and then you have these options. So default quality, low quality, medium quality, highest quality, and then you can also specify specific resolutions, right? So for me, I am just passing in the highest quality. So I want the highest quality possible after compressing this video. I do not want to delete the original file on the device. Instead, I am going to delete this compressed video file at the end of my action. So here I'm going to wait file.delete, right? But before we get there, after compressing the video, right? So I'm doing my upload progress, and after the compression is done, so I'm also just doing some error handling here. So if the compressed video path is null, then we can say compression failed. So update that status text, that app state with compression failed, just so we know what to give our users. You can also add an additional action here to bring up an informational dialogue or whatever the case might be. In my case, I'm just going to continue on to my actual video upload. So I'm doing an app state and I'm setting the statistics to be uploading video, and the upload progress will go back to 0.0. Then I'm passing in my video bunny.cdn.com. So now I'm starting to create my upload. So for that, I need to specify my library ID as well as the video ID, which I'm passing in as arguments, right? And I'm then formatting my string or my URL so that I can sync it. So where did I get that? If we go back to our API documentation, we can just type in video, and then you can see you have create video here, and then an option for upload video. So this will be a put request. So that's why if you have a look here, this is essentially a put request. So stream request is put, and then we're also providing our access key, which is with API key. We are passing this as an argument here at the top, and then also providing our application. So all our content type. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's just go back to our upload video. You can then see you have options here. So enabled resolution, skip encoding, things such as that. By default would be false, but these are the required parameters that we need to pass. It's the library ID and the video ID. And you can see that it's like this. So you can still add additional information here, so such as skip encoding is false or true, whatever the case might be. They are just saying that the header should be application JSON. I'm not doing it that way. I am sending it as update stream and not application JSON. But there you have, you also need to pass in your access key. And then I have some valid things here that you can check, so different error codes. But I'm not really handling that too much. All I want to know is the progress for the upload. That's why I have bar file, the compressed video path, because I want to upload my compressed video and not from the original path. So I'm specifying file needs to be the compressed video path. Then I'm just getting the file size, which is the file.length. I'm trying to get how many bytes are there in this video, right? And then with that, I'm then just also checking byte sent. So I'm specifying byte sent because I want to track my upload progress. So byte sent, I'm then going to, so once I start sending this stream, so once I start sending or uploading this file's bytes, then I need to listen for the chunk data, and then I'm updating my byte sent with the chunk length, right? So how many bytes have I sent versus the bytes originally, and then I'm just updating my upload progress. So I'm creating an actual equation here just to say upload progress is equals to the byte sent divided by the file size. That way I can update my app state using this upload progress, right? After that, we just need to make sure that our upload is done. And then I also want to just update an app state to notify my user that I'm finally processing the upload. And once it's successful, I will exit out of here. Well, before that, I need to first try to delete the file. Otherwise, we'll just say file failed to delete temporary file. But that's the gist of it. And if we come in here, then now on our preview, let's just quickly edit out our action by giving our parameters. The first thing is the video path, which will be this video path. The API key will be our app state and API key. The library ID will be our app state and library ID. And then finally, you have a video ID, which is action outputs. There's JSON body, predefined path, and this video GeoID. And that is it. Now, finally, once this is done, we again want to update our app state. And this time we want to say status text, preparing upload. This time it would be upload complete. Ooh. So upload complete, and we can put that upload progress as 1. Perfect. And that is all that there is to it, right? Because we will be creating a webhook that then will trigger this value. So once Bunny is done processing it, so you will see that there's different statuses. So if we go to our API documentation and we have a look at webhooks. So let's type in here webhook. Let's just quickly search BunnyCDN webhook. There we go. right? You will see that there's a bunch of different statuses that we can get. All we need to pass in is the library ID and the GUID, and then you can have a status 3. This status 3 will mean that the video was successfully uploaded. So if you have here, it says finished, the video encoding has finished, and the video is fully available. Then you also have status 5, which will be failed. There's a bunch of other ones here too, right? Now you can add a webhook that updates your Firebase depending on all of these different values, and you can manage it. In my case, I'm just going to write a webhook that handles status 3 and also status 5. All right. So we're going to do that now soon. I just want to connect everything on this page. Let's finish building out the UI, and then we'll manage the webhook. Well, we'll manage the webhook and then also just build out our API calls if you want to make your API calls to our webhook. We'll also just create a separate API call in order to fetch our API key and library ID from our Nextjs or our server if we want to do our video upload. Right, okay. So let's get started. The first thing is the stack. I only want the stack to be set. So we can say once, let's say our video document reference is set, right? Then we'll see our entire stack. Our row would only be visible if we have status text set is set and not empty. Then we can just come in here, make sure that this is being shown, that's fine. Then finally for this column, we can do an actual additional function here. Or, well, no, we don't need to, right? Yeah, we can just say that this column should only be visible if our reference list, just make sure that always we check that everything is set before we show it. Otherwise, we might run into null issues and then you get this big gray screen. Right, let's do that. Then before this, I just added a container here with some text or whatever. This is just a control, but we can add an action here. You can change this into a button. It honestly really does not matter what you do here. In my case, I just maybe want to add some full colors here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add a page state here and complete. And it will be a Boolean value and it will default be right. And then I can come in here, add a full color, do an if then statement and say page state uncompleted. If that is true, then we want to maybe show primary button or secondary button, that's fine. Otherwise, we want to show our tertiary button and we can confirm. We can make the default tertiary so at least have something to look at. That's fine. And then our text, we can add also an if then statement. So we can go if then page state uncompleted. If it's done, then we can say continue. Otherwise, we can say processing, right? Like that. Confirm. Okay. Now, this button will also then just do a conditional check. So we can say page state uncompleted. If it's true, then we want to navigate back. Otherwise, we want to add an action and just give an informational dialog. Please wait. Upload still in progress. Okay, let's go to our video preview page. I will show on page load, and then we can finally just add action here, which would say update page state, and we can then update this on completed to be set to true. That's it. All right. So now that that's done, I think almost everything is done. We can just have a look at what we are. Oh, we still need to specify our Ghost coding player here. Well, that's set to video path. That's fine. Let's go and have a look. Right, so that's what we still need to query our videos document. So we can go query collection, video uploads, list of documents, and let's just filter so that we make sure that draft is equals to false and failed is equals to false. Confirm. Right. Come down here, we can go to video URL, we can go to uploads, and we can set this to be the so let's just quickly write a custom function here. So custom functions, I already have one, so it's video path string. I'll show you that now. That's just for me, since I'm uploading this as a video path and I'm using my own video player here, so it won't pick up the video path. Is essentially a string. It's a very basic function. It literally just says video path string. So there you have it, string video path string, and then string video URL is equals to video path, and return that video URL. That's all. Right, then finally, we also need to just give here. So this grid view is again going to query collection, video uploads, but this time we're just going to filter for created by is equals to the authenticated user reference, like that. Confirm, yes, confirm. And then we can add a few things here. So we can just say this document property upload failed, confirm. Oh, sorry, we can say is draft is true. So if draft is false, then we want to see this line. If video uploads document is failed, so upload failed, then we want to show this cross icon. Else, we just want to say processing, or we can show draft or something. Let's add an icon in here, and this icon would show uploading, and we can put that as a maybe like a tertiary. That's fine. Right, and then we can track whether it's still in processing. Did it fail? Was it successfully uploaded? And let's just go to our container here. Background image will be the thumbnail. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. We can just say my videos here, so we can see what we need to see. All right, so we are almost ready to test this out, but we now need to go ahead and create our webhook. So to do that, I am going to close here. I'm going to close that, and then we're going to start a new Nextjs project. So I'm going to open up my CMD, so my command prompt. If you don't have it on your taskbar, you can just go to your search bar and type in CMD. I'm going to open that. You can do this from whichever terminal it is that you prefer. Something that you might need to install is Node.js, right? But you can also use whichever code editor you prefer, such as Visual Studio Code or Atom or Notepad++. It really doesn't matter which IDE you prefer. But for me, I do prefer my Visual Studio Code. So I'm just going to say cd, and I want to go to my desktop right here. Let's just see directory. Why not? That's funny, that desktop is not on my directory list. So, let's see. What I'll do is I am gonna cd vd because I have a development folder. Right, so if I open directory, there I go. I have a development folder. I can view that again and just say projects. So cd projects. Directory, they all have a few, but now I will say make directory video compress, like that, cd into it, and then we're gonna have a look at creating this. Let's just make our text a little bit more readable. So if we go, you're gonna have to install Node.js, right? I will add the link in the description below, so you can download Node.js right here, okay, and install it. After that, you should be fine. If you need Visual Studio Code, I'll also upload Visual Studio Code link for you. And as an added bonus, I'll add a link in the description below for a video which is regarding installing Visual Studio Code or setting up your entire FlutterFlow environment for locally running applications, right? So locally doing testing and everything with the FlutterFlow application, as well as integrating Visual Studio Code with it. You can follow along with that video if you need help. Otherwise, Node.js, and you can also reach out to me on my Discord channel if you need any other assistance. Okay, so do make sure that you've installed this Node.js, and then we can head to our Nextjs documentation. So if we open Nextjs, we can see that they do offer a few things here. We want to go to documents, and you can see the installation. They're saying npx create next at latest. So we can just go ahead, copy that out, and go down in. Now, I'm probably not going to be making use of the latest version of Nextjs. Actually, you know what? I will make use of version of Nextjs 15. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can say Nextjs or create next app at latest. And for me, I'm just going to create it inside of this file directory. So I'm going to add that. Full stop and /. It's going to ask us a few questions, so we can say okay to proceed, and we can say yes. Would you like to use TypeScript? Definitely yes. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes. Tailwind CSS? Definitely yes. Would you like your code inside a source directory? No, I don't want that. I definitely want to make use of the app router. Turbo pack is not needed, and import alias, no. And that's all there is. So you can now see it's using npm, and that will come by using Node.js or having that installed. And that is it. Let's just wait for this to load. All right, perfect. That was successful. So we can go ahead and just open our Visual Studio Code. For me, I'm going to use the shortcut code and full stop, and it should open up. Yes, it did. My Visual Studio Code, and there we go. Now I am going to make this larger so that you can probably see better while I'm typing and doing these things. So let's just do that. Perfect. All right. We are going to have to install some packages in order for us to create our webhook. And what we're going to need to do is to install Firebase admin. So I'm going to open up a new terminal. Oops, let's do this. And then I'm going to say npm install Firebase admin, right? Just like that. So again, I'm using Node.js in order to install these packages. That's why it's very much needed for you to have Node.js installed. It can take a second for this to install. There we go. Right. So now that that's done, we need to go and actually get our variables from, or our actual access for Firebase, right? So you can go to your Firebase application, project settings, right? Then under service accounts, you're going to see an option to generate actual file. It's going to download as a JSON file, right? So you can say generate new private key. Now I believe I already have one for it. Yes, I do. So I'm just going to open it. You can open this inside of the Visual Studio Code. I'm just going to say open, and you're going to see a bunch of little things like this here. Okay. Now we are going to make use of a few of these values, right? And we're going to come back to come and fetch these files out as soon as the time comes. For now, let's do this, and let's go to our app directory. So if we have a look at our Nextjs documentation here, then if you scroll down to, let's go to, I just want to get directory here, routing, that should be it. Okay. If we go down, we can see that we have a bunch of different routes, such as also intersecting routes and then route handlers. Now, in our case, we're going to make use of this API route handler because we are going to make API calls. So for that reason, if we have a look at the documentation, we can see our app directory will be our root page, but then we also have an API section, right? So let's go in to our app directory, and we can create a new folder, which would be API. Now, inside of my API, I am going to create a few different folders. One would be create collection. This will be handling at the end of this. So first one, create collection, then a new folder, which would be create video, right? And then finally, we will do a webhook. For that method, I might need to also get API keys, so get keys, right? And that is it. Now I am going to delete these for now, just because I might just push just the webhook at first, and then for everybody that wants to follow along for building out your collection creation, video ID creation, as well as fetching your API keys and everything from your Nextjs server, I will handle those at the very end of the video. So now inside my webhook, if we have a look at our documentation, we need to have a route.js file. In my case, I'm going to be using TypeScript and not JavaScript. So it's going to be a new file. It's going to be route.ts and not JS. Okay. Now, if we think about it, our webhook needs to update our Firebase document. So to do that, we need to initialize Firebase. So let's do an if statement here. Say if admin .app.length. Oh wait, I probably have to import Firebase admin. So let's import our admin, and admin would be from Firebase admin as such. And now we can finally add here. So we have admin.apps.length, and it's already giving a nice suggestion there for me. And I can just go with that. So let's do this. And why is this little bracket here? Yeah. Okay, so if admin.apps.length, right? So now we need to initialize our app. So we're going to say admin.initialize app, right? And then we need to pass in our credentials. Now, our credentials is what lies inside of our JSON file that we got here. Now there's a few of them that we need. Well, we can just pass in all of these. I am not going to pass in all of these because all of them are not needed. We just need project ID, right? We need client email, and we need the private key. So all these can be removed. Those are not needed. And then we can just come in here, grab our project ID. As such, we can do our private key like this. Make sure that you paste that full one. And then finally, we need the client email. So let's scroll back to the front office, grab that client email, and then paste it in. Such. Right. Okay, I just want to make sure that all these are closed off properly, and then we can start doing a few things. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to initialize or get our Firebase instance, right? So we're going to create a new variable, which is db, and it's going to be equals to admin.firestore, right? And then now we need to create our actual webhook, and our webhook is going to be a post for our Firebase. So we're going to say export, because we are exporting this entire function, this webhook. So it's going to be export async function. It's going to be a post request, and then we can pass in request of type request as such. Now I don't want to, it's no need for the, oh wait, sorry, this needs to be a next request like that. Now it's going to throw an error. All you can do is add import next server. That's all. And then from here, we can now start building out a few things. The first thing is we need to add the try and catch block, because we need to try, updating our Firebase, well, first getting all the information from Bunny and then updating our Firebase with that information. Otherwise, we need to catch an error if it's not successful. So let's go ahead and let's create our try block. And I just want to already add catch here. So catch error, we can do it as such. Right, we'll come to edit that now. Well, actually, let's just do this. That's actually a very good suggestion. So return new next response. No, I'm not happy with that. So I want to just return. So let me remove this. I'm going to return a next response that can be imported also from next server, and it's going to be JSON, right? And we can then do an error occurred, status 500. That is correct. I just want to say webhook error instead of just error, and that's good. All right. Now let's start building out the rest here. The first thing that we need to do is we need to request the body. Okay, so we need to request the information from Bunny that we receive. So I'm going to create a new variable which is called request body, like that, and await request.json. Now after this, I just want to make sure that I console.log the information so I can track it to see what information I'm receiving. So receive webhook request body. I just actually want to say data received from Bunny. So data received from BunnyCDN, like that. Right. Let's just add some space here so it's better to read. And we can now finally just make sure that we get specific values from this body that we are getting. So our JSON body is our request body, and then we need to extract certain data from that request body. What we need is the video GUID as well as the status. So we're going to go const. So const video GUID ID, and then also we want to get the status, right? And this is coming from the request body. Now we also just need to do a quick test here for the status, because we might have different statuses, because we only want to update our Firebase document based off of a specific status value. So we're going to say if status is triple equals to 3. So it's definitely 3. There's no other thing. If you just say equal, then sometimes it can throw errors or give a wrong value or trigger on the wrong value. So it's better just to say triple equals, and this time it's going to be 5, right? Then we want to do the following. We want to say const video ref is equals to database.collection, and for us our video collection is, I think, let's go just have a look again what we named this collection. Sorry. So go in here, go in there, and it is video uploads. So let's just make sure that this is correct. So we can say video uploads, just like that. And then of course we then just need to say, or close this off, because that's our video reference. So it's fetching that videos collection. And then we can do a const snapshot, because we want to get the data from our video reference. Well, we want to get specific data. So we want to find a specific document that we want to update. The document we want to find, the video GUID that we have in our Firebase, needs to match the video GUID that we have here. So we can say snapshot is equals to await video reference .doc. So no, I don't want .doc. I want .where. Yeah, I don't want that. I just want to get .where, right? So video reference .where video GUID. I don't think I had it like that. Let's just go and have a look here. So video uploads, we have video GUID, no capital letters. So we do need to make sure that these things are 100% accurate, otherwise it would fail and then you don't know why it failed, right? So we would just want to say that it is equals to and equals to this video GUID, right? And then we can do a .get. So we're getting that specific video document. Right, so now we just need to do a snapshot or if statement to just make sure that this snapshot is not empty. So snapshot.empty, we can just pass in console.log to say video not found in Firestore, return next response, video not found. That's actually perfect. Yeah. If you want to know what this is, I'm using a tab 9 extension that auto completes my code, right? It's based off of what I in the past coded, or it gives specific suggestions. It works wonderfully. And it also cuts down on your programming time. So next we want to create a new variable, which is doc, and that would literally be this document from our snapshot, right? So we're going to say this doc is equals to snapshot.docs0. So the first document that we get. There should only just be one, but let's just say that. So then if status is equals to 3, right, then we need to I first want to do a console.log, and we can say video successfully uploaded to Bunny, not Firestore, right? So it's and updating documents for video GUID. We can do that, and then just pass in this video GUID. That's correct. So video GUID, close that out like that, and then actually I want to pass in another value here just to say that we are setting draft to false. So setting draft to false, right? Because we have a draft field. So after this, let's just in that, let's go down here. I just want to maybe make this one smaller. That's better. Right. So after that, we can say await doc.ref.update, and then we want to update draft to be false. Perfect. Just like that. All right. Else if status is equals to 5. Then we want to update, so we can say console.log video failed to upload to Bunny, and updating document for GUID setting failed. Let's see, what was that field's name? Upload failed. So setting upload failed to true, and then we can just grab that and upload failed to be true. That is it. Right, we can then finally just do console.log here to say webhook processed successfully. And let's just also then pass in for video GUID and video GUID. So we track which video it was that we successfully uploaded, and then finally we can just return a next response webhook process successfully status 200. Okay. We probably also then just need to do an else statement here, and that is because we also need to just say no invalid status code received from Bunny status. No, let's just say I'm not happy with that. I'm just going to say no action taken for status, and then that status, because I remember it will pass certain statuses. So yeah, certain statuses are not going to update anything, and therefore with video GUID, and then specify that video GUID. We can then return a next response JSON, and we can say message no action taken, and it would be status 200, right? Because it's still successful. And that is about it. We've successfully created our webhook, and we can deploy this to Vercel and yeah, test it out. So let's start by going to GitHub and opening a GitHub account, right? I already have a GitHub account, but I will add the link in the description below. You can create a GitHub account, and then from here, we're going to start a new repository. And I'm just going to say video compress project, like that. No need for description, but I will leave it as public. I will make this repository available for you if you need to get anything from it. Right. So there we go. I am going to create the repository. And now we can do a few things. Now, note that you might need to also now install Git to your computer. So right here, oh, that's not what I want, but you can just say Git. And Git is in order for you to have access to the command line. I'll add the link in the description below. Go ahead, click on Git, download for Windows, and then from there we can deploy. Now the first thing that I want to do is I need to git init in my project. So I'm going to say git init. In order to make this a little bit better, I am just going to close this up a bit, move this to the side like that. Do this. Do this. Right. Just space it out a bit. There we go. Okay. So we did git init, and now finally there's one thing that they didn't add here, and that is to add all of files. So we're going to do a git add all. We can then add our first commit. So in my case, I'm just going to edit this first commit. I'm going to say first commit in pushing Bunny Webhook. Now this commit is just essentially a comment that will lie both with Github, and when we deploy to Vercel, it will lie with Vercel. So we can go ahead. We've pushed our first commit. Let's just also create a main branch for it. Let's add our git origin main. So let's add our project, right? Or associate our project with this GitHub repository. And then finally, we can git push -u origin main. There we go. So now that that was successful, we can go ahead and go to our Vercel. Right now, I already have a Vercel account. For you, I would suggest opening the Vercel account using your GitHub. Right. So sign in with your GitHub account. That way, everything is already linked. So we can go here, and I am going to create a new project. It's going to be the video compress project that I just pushed. So you can see just now. And there we go. I'm just going to expand this a bit now so we can see things. Now, we will come to add environmental variables soon, and that is when we do the others. But for now, this is fine. No need to add anything. It would work correctly. We can just go ahead and say deploy. Now, it can take a few seconds or minutes to deploy these things, but it should work fine. You will see that you have some build logs here. And we can see that it's installing dependencies using npm. There's a bunch of things that are deprecated, but that's fine. It shouldn't cause any error in building or deploying your application. Also make sure that you selected Nextjs here as framework preset, that was selected as Nextjs. So creating an optimized production build, and it should be done shortly. Congratulations, right? We can now continue to dashboard, and we can click on visit. Now, once you've clicked on visit, you will see that you now have this unique link. So what we need to do is we need to add this to our Bunny, right? So make sure to copy all of that out like such. Go to APIs, and then under Webhook URL, we need to paste that link, but we also need to add some, and that would be the route to our Webhook. In our case, it would be vercel.app/API/Webhook. Perfect, and I'm going to save. So now that that's done, we can quickly test out our app, and then I will come back for the final ones, such as just adapting or changing our layout to make use. This will probably be in a part 2. No, I will still continue on with this video, it's fine. Right, let's quickly download one. Download an APK, and then we'll test it on my actual Android device. All right, so let's go ahead and it wouldn't be that one, would it? Right, let's go ahead and download video compressor. So let's grab that APK. I'm gonna go to my mobile, and I am gonna add it here. There we go. Right, so back to my mobile phone. I can now click on that and it would install. Let's open that. It's going to ask me for some credentials, so I'm going to say the test at email.com. Let's do done. Let's get started. Perfect. Right, and now we can upload a video. Before we do that, I just want to make sure that my settings, so everyone, we also want to make sure that our Firebase rules are correct, right? So let's deploy now. There we go, it's deployed. Come back to the phone, and now we can see no successful videos to display. Now I'm then just going to say upload video, and let's grab this guy here. There we can see it's tracking nicely, compressing the video, processing upload. So it's saying nicely that it's processing, and upload complete. So I can now continue, and under profile, as you see, I don't think I ever connected this button. I did not. But there we can see now the video was successfully done on Bunny's side, so it would now update it to be status successful. Right, let's go to our video or our homepage. Let's just make sure this button is connected, and then we'll just test it out again. Alright, I'm just busy downloading a new APK. This button is just going to my profile page where we did this little layout here. But if we go to our Bunny, we can see that the video is successfully uploaded and everything is working as should. Now, that also means that the video compressor, the app, it should work fine. Just want to make sure that that query is fine, but it might be actual Firebase rules that didn't deploy. So let's just quickly go and have a look here. I want to delete this value. That's not required. Let's delete that. If we go to video uploads, we would then see now draft is set to false, upload is set to false, UID is fine, video URL is good, video GUID, here we go. Right. I just want to come to managing my library. Let's just have some looks here. So let's just do that, because I'm trying to access this directly currently from Firebase, so I need to have that turned off. Alright, let's do one last test here. So I'm going to say upload video, and we can select, I don't know, some random video here. What's good? Let's have this one. It's a nice big video. There we can see creating video library. So there we can see this is a pretty large video. So we will also now come and compare the actual video size on my device and then the compressed video size that's in Bunny. But there we can see this one will probably take a little bit longer since I'm trying to compress it with the highest quality in mind, and this is a pretty large video file. So let's just bear with it. Alright, there we go. It was done successfully, and we can continue. I just quickly want to come here to the video uploads, come to rules. Let's come here. Let's copy this out. Let's see. Publish. Publish. There we go. Let's just make sure that our URL is appended correctly. So let's have a look at our data. video uploads. So let's compare it quick. I am just gonna grab a video's ID here. Grab this one. So come back here. Here. And let's just add text document. Right. All right, let's just check everything. HTTPS. So weirdly enough, it is correct. It's false, it's false. Let's just double check my actual query. So on my home page, my query here. So draw should be equals to false. Yeah. All right, there it's working. I know there was a slight delay, I think with this one. I'm not sure why though. But it might just also be my internet. And you know what? My VPN is messing around. So let's do this. Alright, there we go. So now you'll also see that there's this nice little watermark in my video. That is something that Bunny did on their side. So there we go. And the watermark is there again, similar to what it is for TikTok. Right. Let's quickly check this download out. So we can see the changes happening in real time on Bunny's side as our webhook is then triggered. Sorry, I only realized now that I'm trying to speak to you, but my phone's noise is probably making a lot of noise on your side in the video. Right, there we go. Okay. Let's close out the application. And that's actually something that you would notice. I have an action that makes my entire app full screen, so I remove the nav bar, everything, so they actually have to drag down to have access to the thing. It just works better for applications. Let's go ahead, let's upload a video. This time, what is this? Is this a big video? Oh, here's a big video, 1 hour and 55 minutes. I don't know, let's choose something. Yeah. All right. So we're creating a video library, then compressing. I like this flow because it keeps showing the user the progress. So it keeps them engaged, just improving the overall experience that your user will have. Now, note that if you have to make this quality lower for the compression, then you'll probably be able to compress the video files a lot faster. So processing upload. It's almost done, probably. There we go, upload complete. I can click on continue, quickly go to profile, and there you can see that it's still saying that it's uploading, right? We haven't triggered the webhook yet. All right, so if we go quickly into Bunny and we close out here, let's refresh, then we should see that video still showing on Bunny's side as processing. So that means that they're still encoding it or transcribing it or whatever the case might be, but at least your user was able to complete, and that is then handled in the backend. Okay, well, I completed now. So if we go back to our application, then we will now see we have our green check mark. Now this was handled using our webhook that we deployed to Vercel. Right, now that's done, let's for everybody that's interested in making the video, the API calls outside of FlutterFlow, so managing the API keys and library ID and everything outside of FlutterFlow so that it doesn't become exposed for the user. Let's write on that and work on that. And for everybody else, please, if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments, or please join the Discord channel if you have any questions or need any further assistance. I would be happy to help. For those of you who are remaining, let's get into this. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new folder here, which is going to be create collection. Right, the webhook is going to remain the same, but let's do create video like that, and then finally get keys. There we go. So for creating our collection, we can do a new file, which is going to be a route.ts. Now, actually, sorry, I'm going to shunt you around now. I want to test this out as we continue. So the first thing would be to delete this. Delete, and then just work with the create collection, because that would be the first one that we're going to do, right? We're first going to create the collection for the user. Now, we are going to need to make use of a package, and this package is called Axios. So let's install that package by saying npm install Axios, like that. Right. So it's going to install, but while that installs, oh, that was actually quite quick. So let's just continue. I just want to make sure that we import it. So we can say import Axios from Axios. There we go. And such, and let's remember to close that out. All right. Now we need to create a GET request, because we need to get from our side in FlutterFlow, we need to get a value from our API, even though our API is also making another post request to Bunny. But let's say export a sync function. So a sync function, and it's going to be a GET request, right? As such. And we can say request is next request, like that. So you will see that by clicking enter, I imported next request. Now, again, similar to what we did the previous time, we are going to have a try and a catch block. But before we do that, let's just specify a few things. The first thing is that we're going to pass information to our GET request. So we're going to have a URL that is going to contain specific information. That information is going to be a unique ID that we're going to give in order to create that collection ID, right? It's what we're going to be passing as the title. Creating the collection, it's going to be as the name. So let's say const, and with Nextjs, we're going to use search params, right? And these search params is going to be equals to new URL such, and then we want to request that URL. So we're getting a URL in our API from our FlutterFlow, from our GET request, and that URL contains specific information. Now we need to get that information. So we're going to do const library ID, right? Firstly, it's going to be equals to process.env. Before we even continue with this, because we haven't created our env file yet, let's first create an env file. So we're going to say new file, and it's going to be a .env.local file. Rename, I missed my v there. So env, just like that. Now we're going to have a library ID here. So library ID is equals to, and then we're also going to have API key, or we can say Bunny API. Bunny API key is equals to our Bunny API key. So let's go and fetch it real quick. Let's go to, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's enlarge this quickly. Go to manage library, go down to APIs, grab our library ID, and go back to our env.local. We're going to paste in our library ID, go back here, grab our API key, go back, and paste that in. Right, so now we have that. We can come back to our collection, and now we can say library ID, like that. So our library ID is equals to the library ID that lies inside of our env file. Right. Now, we also need to get the unique ID because we're going to be passing in a unique ID, which is essentially what we're going to use for creating our name. That is going to be search for ramps.get unique ID. Now, if library ID or unique ID is empty, then it means we cannot make a successful request, right? So we're going to say return next response.json error missing library or unique ID, and we can pass in a status of 400. Now note that we need to import next response, so we can just click there and add it here. So import next request and next response from next server. Now after this, we need to actually make our call to Bunny. So we're going to create a post request. So we're going to say const response is equals to await axials dot not get but dot post, right? And you will see that it actually adds here a few examples. In our case, it's going to be an HTTPS request, and we want to pass in our library ID and then get a collection. So let's just do that. So we have HTTPS video bunny.cdn.com library, then library ID, which we're getting from here, and then collections. Right. Now, let's just do this. Actually, this needs a comma, like that. Perfect. Then we need to pass in some JSON, right? And this JSON that we need to pass in, similar to what we did in FlutterFlow, was that we need to give a name, which in our case is going to be that unique ID. Perfect. Now, after that, we also need to give headers, because we need to pass headers in order for Bunny to accept our post request. So let's do headers, right? Is firstly going to be content type. So content type, and it is going to be application JSON. And then also we need to give access key that it needs to accept, and that's going to be process.env. And let's just make sure to pass in the correct value there. So come back here, and it's not BunnyCDN API key, but instead it's just Bunny API key. Let's just make sure that it knows that that can never be null, although for some reason it is throwing an error there, so we can just remove that. Let's have a look. Expect, oh, that's fine. All right. Let's see, yeah, just because it could potentially be null, so let's just make sure that there's never any errors there. All right. So that's perfect, that's good, that's all we needed. And we can now finally say const collection ID, right, is equals to the response.data, and this will be the GUID. Because remember, it responds with a GUID. And then from here, we can respond. So we can return a next response, not JSON, that's correct, but I want to return something else here. This needs to return, first of all, the collection ID we just got, and it can return status of 200. So let's give status of 200 there. Then finally, we need to add a catch block, which is going to have an error, and then we need to console.log this error, and it's going to say error creating collection, and the error code return next response error, and error occurred, and status 500. That's perfect. All right, let's quickly deploy this to Github and Vercel. So we can say git add all, right? And if you remember, we did commit the previous time, so I'm going to say second commit by adding create collection API, like that. Let's enter, and then I want to git push -u origin main. Perfect. We can head down to Vercel because it should start showing that deploying again. So you can see upcoming building. It's currently already now building this API, and it was pushed just now, so we can just wait. Although we need to add a few things here. So we need to now add our environmental variables. So we can come back to our application here, go to our .env, copy all of it, go back to our Nextjs or our Vercel, and then we can post in library ID and Bunny API key. And we can save. There we go. And we've added our environmental variables. So it will build for quite some time. It might actually fail this build because we added actual environmentals too late, but it seems it did not. It was successful. So we can now go ahead to our dashboard in FlutterFlow, come to our API calls, and I'm going to create a new API call. This time it's going to be a GET request, and I want to grab my URL here, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to say API and /create collection, right? Because that's my route. So if we look at our Visual Studio Code, my naming convention for this folder is create collection. So back inside of our FlutterFlow application, we now have that create collection, but I also want to add specific parameters. So the first thing that I'm going to add is my unique ID. So let's make sure that this matches exactly. So go to your route, copy out our unique ID, go back to FlutterFlow and paste that in. It's going to be from a variable, and we can create a new variable of unique ID. So let's say create collection Vercel, and then we can pass in just test2 or test Vercel, right? And we can say test API call. Missing library or unique ID. So let's go ahead and just have a look at our actual code here. Right, so we are saying const library ID and we're processing it as such. What we can do is rather add this const in here, right, library ID, and yeah, we can just say unique ID and say missing unique ID. Okay, let's control save that. Make sure that our process.env here is correct. All right, let's just hit add all. I'm just going to say third commit by adding changes. Changes to create collection API. Right, and then we can finally just say git push -u origin main. Go back to Vercel, check our deployment, make sure that our env loaded correctly. So Bunny API key and then also library ID. So, all right, let's just make sure it's all correct. Yes. And yes. Let's go to Vercel. Let's have a look. Our deployments. There we go, it's ready, and we can send another test. There we go, it was successful, right? And we can add our collection ID path here and say collection ID. And we can say add call. Current API endpoint is misconfigured. Details one or more variables has no value type specified. Doesn't need to have a value type. Let's just update that. Right. So it's struggling a little bit, it seems. So what we can do is just test it again. Delete that JSON path. Add JSON path. Collection ID. I think FlutterFlow struggling a bit. Here we go. It's typed string, but it's from variable, right? Yeah. So it's a string, and we can say add call. There we go. All right. So that was the issue. And let's just make sure that this GET request still has everything unmanaged access. Collection ID, perfect. So we can go in, We'll get this on our auth page. So if we open up, we can delete all of this, just redo this. So we're going to make an API call, right? And we're going to make this API call using the create collection Vercel. And then we're going to pass in that unique ID as our authenticated user ID. Then successful response, we're going to update document. And this document, we're going to update authenticated user record reference and add that field collection ID from variable. And it's going to be set to that action output, API result, JSON body, predefined path, collection ID. Confirm. And then finally, just navigate to our home page. Right, that's all. Okay. Now for our video preview, we need to do our video ID collection. So let's go here and let's create a new folder. And this time it would be create video, right? So we can do a new file. This is going to be routes.ts. Rename .ts like that, and we can create our video document. So it's going to be something very similar. So what I'm actually just going to do is I'm just going to copy all of that, paste it in here, and then we're going to edit it out of it. So the first thing that we need to do is check here, what are we getting? We can get a unique ID, that's fine, but we also want to get, because we're going to pass in a collection ID, therefore we need to say collection ID is equals to search params, not get collection ID. Then for here, we can say all collection ID, right? If that is null, then we can say missing unique ID or collection ID. All right, that's perfect. Again, now this time, instead of collections, it would be videos. So if we have a look at our upload video, that's the wrong one. No, it's not wrong. So we can just type in videos or video, create video. It's a post request, and we will be sending a title, collection ID, and thumbnail time, right? And then our URL will append videos at the back. So let's go into our actual route here, and it says videos. And now we need to change a few things here. First of all, the title will be the unique ID, but we also want to pass in a collection ID, which will be collection ID, right? Then we also want to pass in a thumbnail. So let's go to our documentation here and grab that thumbnail time, right? Thumbnail time, and we can maybe just specify something straightforward, like a 2 integer or whatever the case might be, right? Now it's probably going to complain here because we're doing collection ID and everything. So let's just say this should be collection ID value, and do this, and then we can just build. So now it should stop complaining, right? All right. Now we can also pass in a thumbnail time, to be honest. So we can literally just go and also say here const thumbnail is equals to search params thumbnail time and such, and then just pass in that thumbnail here. That. Right. Okay. We just probably also then need to add another value here to say, the thumbnail is not set. So let's just also make sure to add our null check. So if they are null and no values were set, then we need to pass in these values. So let's do that. All right. Now from here, it would then respond again with a it would respond with a video GUID. So video or GUID. So it does respond with the GUID, and that is fine, but it will also respond with our thumbnail name. I believe it's thumbnail name or something. Let's have a quick look here. Meta tags, transcoding message. Okay, don't need that. Moments, chapters, category. Thumbnail file name. So let's go back up here, and then we can say const video GUID is equals to data UID. So const thumbnail file name is equals to response.data file name. Then we want to do our video GUID, and we also respond with our thumbnail file name. Pass in a status to 100, and then that should work. Let's go ahead and then just say hit add all. We can say fourth commit. So fourth commit by adding changes to, or by adding create video API. All right, and that should be successful then. Now we can go ahead and just start adding this to our actual FlutterFlow project here. So let's go to API calls, and this time we're going to do another call. It's going to be a GET request. All right, let's just say yes. Let's just copy out our URL here. Go API call, GET request, do this, and this time it would be create video, right? And we can say create video Vercel, like that. No need for headers, but we do need to add specific parameters. And the first parameter is going to be, let's go back inside of our document here. Let's grab it. It's going to be unique ID. So unique ID is going to be from variable, and we can say create new variable. The next one is going to be our collection ID. It's going to be from variable, and we can now say create new variable, collection ID. And finally, when I do a thumbnail time. So come here, I'm going to say from variable, create new variable, and let's just specify these. They are string, a string, and an integer, just like that. And we can go down to responses and text, and we can say unique ID, test Vercel video. Go to manage library, because we should have a nice little library ID, and I'll call that, I believe it was test Vercel. So you can grab that, copy collection ID, go to dashboard, and do that. Then finally, we can say to. Right. Let's check our Vercel here. Did we push it? Oh no, we never pushed it. So let's just quickly go and hit push -u origin name. My apologies for that. Now we're going to have to wait a bit. There we can see it's folded. Right. It can take a few seconds to build. So I think while this waits, let's start implementing our call. Right. Now, well, we need to get the responses first, right? So what I will start doing is we can head down in here, and we can create a new file somewhere where we can say get keys. So get the keys, create a new file, which will be route.ts. And again, we probably gonna do something similar to this. So get Axios, yes, search params. Well, there won't be any search params. We just want to get keys. So, you can just do that, and it's going to be library ID, and we need to get const. Where is it? So, do this. Try catch block. So. Const access key process is equals to process.env. We can remove this, and we can remove all of this, and then we can just say respond with library ID and access key. We'll come and edit that out now further. Let's just quickly have a look if this is done. This was done, so let's quickly test our response here. Should work fine. There we go. Perfect. created the video GUI ID, and it created a thumbnail file name size. So now we can just quickly add that, and we can say video ID and thumbnail, right? Like that, and we can add call. Perfect. And again, now just in the video preview, so instead of making this API call here, we are just going to essentially say create a Vercel video and add our values here. So unique ID, collection ID, and thumbnail time. Go ahead, say unique ID can be that action output, video document, and it would be the reference document ID. Collection ID will be our authenticated user collection ID, and our thumbnail time we can pass a value of 2 there. Right, that's literally it. We can then just double check this. Video library ID succeeded. Update app state, that's fine. We can do an update document. So let's just make sure to grab that. Say again, video ID, confirm. Let's click this one. All right, so on the thumbnail, it's also complaining on 2 occasions. So it's because of the naming convention that's different. So let's just edit that out. So predefined path would be then thumbnail, confirm. And then finally, video GUID would be the video ID. So video ID. And then there's probably one more place. There we go. So predefined path, video ID. But now we'll come to add another API call prior to doing this compressed and upload video, because we are going to get our API calls now from our route.ts here. All right, let's just remove this because we don't really require this at all. So we can remove it, and we can remove this next request, and we can also remove actuals, and then we'll give it a shot. Right. How we can do this, I'm just going to check it to npm run dev. All right, and it's running on localhost, and I'm just quickly going to test this inside of my host manager. Okay, I tested it, it works fine, so we can continue to deploy it. So I am then just going to say git add all. We can finally just do with commit by adding gets keys API. Now you can eventually do this because you have Firebase admin here, so you can pass in a unique authentication token of the user in order to verify that they are authenticated and they have the right to access these keys. And but for now, this will be fine for my use case. This is just to give you a rough idea of what to do. But there we go. We are 100%. So now we can head back to our FlutterFlow application. Go here, add a new call, create API call. It will be get. Let's just grab this entire Vercel API here. That's all we need. So add API call, paste, get keys, and these API keys. Remember that you can store these API keys as encrypted, and the user needs to still have a unique decryption key on their side in order to then decrypt the or decrypt the keys with them, in order so that the keys aren't exposed during the response. So that would be the best way for you to do it, but I'm not going to jump into that now. This is just how you can store it outside. There's going to be no need for any variables, nothing whatsoever. We can just go to responses and text. Let's check here. It's with commit get keys, so we can test the API. And there you go. You now have a library ID and access key. You can just say ID and key. You can add the call. Go up here in our video preview action flow. I'm then going to add an action. It's going to be a new API call. It's going to be get keys. We can just call it keys, and then for our compressed action, we can then pass in our API key as an action output. It would be keys, JSON body, predefined path, and key. The library would be something similar. So let's just copy this variable, go in here, paste it, and instead of key, it would be the ID, and confirm. There we go. That's all we need. And if we now do our download APK, then it would run as such. Alright, let's test it out quick. I've already now installed it. Click on upload video. What we can do is that we can start from scratch and use our new API calls. Let's just go in, say clear cookies and cache for it, so storage, clear data, yes, and then we should be logged out. The reason is because I didn't add an actual logout button, so that would work. Last test email.com, so test 1 to 4, and we can get started. There we go. It's successfully created our collection. You can go ahead, select a nice video here somewhere or something. Let's see. I don't know. Let's add this guy. There we go. Let's just wait for it to load. And there we go. It is done. I can click on continue, quickly hit the profile, and we can see that it's uploading. And all of this used our API calls straight from Nextjs. So at no point in time that we actually store any of the values inside of our application or even in our Firebase. Now, to make it extra secure, you can go ahead and just on your API keys, right? You can like say there, I believe there is an option, advanced settings, yeah. So you can go to advanced settings and just click on make private. Then this will still just deploy it for cloud functions in Firebase, and then just it's an extra layer of security.